he do when he comes? That he tells the next verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chatushutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami. I protect my devotees and I kill those who are demanding. So if you go to see, maybe you can see the Dasavataras, where Krishna is appearing in different moments, like Varaha, and then he appears as Narsimha. So he kills the demon people, Ram and Krishna. But actually it is the external reason which he says that I come here to protect my devotees and kill the demons. But the reason he comes, one of the reason is that when he performs these pastimes, seeing all others, those who are seeing these pastimes or hearing these pastimes, at least they will get attracted towards Krishna. Unfortunate situation for us is that we are more and more going into our material lives, so we are not paying much attention to the spirituality. So that's the reason he sends his associates like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya to tell about his glories, so that we can hear and then we can again get attraction towards Krishna and then go back to the spiritual. Why? Because that is actually our home. This is not our home. This means not this. The material world is not our home. Even for that matter, this home is also. Still this body is there only till the time. After that, whoever is going to be our sons or daughters, they are going to enjoy this, but not. So the material way, if you go to see, it is only till we have this body only. This is temporary. That's what Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita also. He says about this material world, it's a dukhalayam anashashvatam. Everywhere it is misery, miseries and miseries. And it is ashashvatam, it's temporary. So when he comes, he tries to perform these pastimes so that that will attract those who are general public for them to see. And when they see this, when they hear this, and they get attracted and they try to practice the spiritual life. And another reason is that he comes here to mainly to give pleasure to his devotees. Like Krishna, even though he is the Supreme Lord, but then how come the Supreme Lord is having a mother and father? If he is the Supreme Lord and he is the one actually, he's created everything, and then how come there is Yashoda Maya and how come there is Devaki, Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva? How come these are all becomes his parents? It is because Krishna, he wants to, his devotees, he want to take association of devotees, he want to associate with his devotees. So he gives them that position so that they can act as the parents. Of course here, they don't know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord because he covers them with the Yoga Maya potency. There are two types of Mayas out there. One is Yoga Maya, which acts in the spiritual world. Yes. And second one is Mahamaya, which acts in this material. What is the meaning of Maya? Maya means illusion, which is not that we think it is. That's called Maya. And examples, so many examples we can talk about. Especially we can see in India more. If you see some rope on the road, then we think it's a snake, which is not snake, but it appears to be snake, and we think that is snake. That is an illusion. And the same way we think this is. It comes in this Mahabharata, very beautiful, very wonderful way. Once all the Pandavas, they are walking in the forest and they feel very thirsty. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he tells one of his the youngest brother, Sahadeva, to look for a water source anywhere close by. So he climbs up onto the tree and then he sees there is a lake. He says, go and fetch water. So everybody is feeling thirsty. We cannot walk till that point. So then Sahadeva goes, but he didn't come back for a long, long time. And then he sends the Nakul. And Nakul also goes there and he also did not come back. Then sends Arjun. He didn't come back. And Bhim, he also did not come back. Then Yudhishthira himself, he goes there. To his surprise, he sees all his brothers are dead on the side of the lake. Yudhishthira is feeling very thirsty. So first he thought, I will go and drink water. He's trying to drink the water. That time he hears a voice. Says, stop, don't drink this water. He says, who are you? I don't want to listen to you. First I am feeling thirsty. Let me drink water and then I will talk to you. He says, if you drink water, you are going to get the same destiny of your brothers because they are all dead. Yudhishthira then stops and says, yes, so what do you want me to do? So that voice says that I have some questions, you answer these questions, and then if I'm satisfied, then we can kill this one, because this lake belongs to me. There are so many questions he asks. Right now, we are not really interested into those questions. One of the question in that is that, what is that thing which is amazement, which is an amazement in this entire material, which is so much surprising? Yudhishthira Maharaj answers to that question. He says, death is everywhere. We see death everywhere. Our forefathers, our grandfathers, our fathers, or sometimes even elder, younger than us also, they all die. So death is in the front and the back, in the left, in the right, and the side, and top, everywhere. But still, everybody thinks that I am going to live forever. This is the normal tendency of human being. Even I am dying also. Not now. Now I am 20 years, 30 years, 90 years, and then I may think of going death, but not now immediately. For that matter, we see when as we are going by car, when we travel on the highways, we see the accident, and there is so much of traffic jam because of accident. We may feel pity when we see that situation there, as they were moving ambulance and stretcher and things like that. But what we think must have happened to them, but not. I drive very carefully, very nicely. I am very cautious in driving. We think that is an illusion. Death is always hanging on the head of a human being, just like the talwar is hanging on the head. Anytime, anybody, because at least those who are suffering with the cancer, they have the dates. What date? Maybe 6 months or 10 months, a year or 2 years. But for others, there is no guarantee when is that, and that is an illusion. So these are the two types of illusions. So Krishna covers his devotees with the illusion that devotees think that Krishna is not the supreme God. He is a just ordinary person like us. And that's what he does that. He did in the Krishna Leela. So when he comes here, he performs these Leelas, so that will attract the living entities, and they can start looking at or worshipping Krishna or glorifying his name. Why we have to glorify his name? Because that is the only way we can go back to the spiritual world. When we worship Krishna, then one can get the entrance to go into the Goloka Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. When we don't worship Krishna, of course Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita also, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Kejati Ante Kaleva. In Bhagavad Gita it says, so when you are leaving your body, what is the state of your mind? So you will attain that state in your next birth. Before that he says, the verse before that he says, when you are leaving your body, if you remember me, then you come to my abode. So the whole purpose of doing this devotional service or doing this puja and path, whatever we are doing it, it's for one of the reasons that we will remember Krishna when we are leaving this body, so that we can go to the spiritual world. The question is then, why we have to go to spiritual world? I am living happy here, what is the reason? Why should I have to worship Krishna? Why should I have to go to Goloka? Because it says, the scriptures, it says that there are so many problems all of us are having. Problems are related. His problem is not my problem. My problem is not your problem. We can take so many examples. Any doctors here? If somebody is suffering with toothache, we go to doctor like this, dentist. It is a pain for us, but as we walking by, the dentist sees us, then he thinks yes, dollars are coming. But that is the dollars per them. Because the more we have the pain, the more they get money. Same thing is with the car, we may be having problems. For mechanic, it is gain. Our problem is their gain. In the winter, nobody likes snow. But then there are some people who praying to the Lord, then please there should be snow more and more. Who are they? Those who clean this snow. So they want the snow to be there so that they can clean it. Whereas if you go to if you actually see, scientists, they are doing so many fixing of the so many problems, but these are all called as a patchwork. In a sense, like when we have white hair, we apply dye, it's a patchwork. But internally we know we are getting old. But then for externally to show, as we do that, makeup things, so many cosmetic industries living on that to keep us, to make us look, and not that to keep us young. We are not won't be young anyway. So these are the patchworks which they are giving it solutions. But according to scriptures, it says that the main problem means the absolute problem means that should be equal to everyone, and it should be equal to the men, women, and any depending upon not depending on any race as such, white, black, everybody should have this problem. And the problem means nobody want this problem. And problem means absolute problem means nobody can escape that. That is called absolute problem. So scriptures talk about what are those four absolute problems: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Yes, we cannot avoid it. How much ever we do, scientists they are doing it so much, but it's not possible. One has to. Now, United States considered to be one of the hygienic country, but I see COVID here also same as any other places as such. So there are flus are there here. You get the flu and you get a cough, cold. It comes. Diseases are there all the time, everywhere. And old age, everybody gets old. And only those people, those who are old, they can understand what are the problems of old age. We may not be at young age, we may not think that that's not a big problem. And death, it says according to the Garuda Purana, it's a death means it's like a biting 40,000 scorpions at a time. That is the pain of the death. And the birth maybe, many people think that birth is a wonderful thing. And especially the womb of a mother is very, very wonderful thing. But it says that, I mean, we can also think about it. Assume that we are 6 feet height, and put us into the room which is 3 feet by 3 feet, dark room, put you into that for 6 months or 7 months, how it feels like. So that's what the soul goes through when they are in the womb of a mother. Actually, scriptures it says that when the fetus or the baby in the womb of the mother struggling so much because when mother eats pungent food, it bites the body. Praise to the Supreme Lord that please take me out of the situation. I will become your devotee. But the moment the baby is born, everybody gives attention to the baby. Oh baby, how nice you are. So as you see, the baby gets attention from everyone, and that's where it starts. That everybody thinks that they are in the center of the universe, and the whole universe is there to give them the pleasure. Either it is in household, or it is in the school, or it is in the job. This is what everybody thinks. So that's the reason when we go to the spiritual world, then there is no birth, there is no death, there are no old age, there are no diseases. So in Vaikuntha, these are all not there. So that's the reason when we go to the spiritual world, we need not have any problems. So the Krishna comes to tell us, to take us back to the spiritual. So when he comes to as Krishna, he's performing so many pastimes so that he can attract us. He can kind of inviting us to come to the spiritual world. So especially this Damodar Leela, where Krishna is a small boy and Mother Yasoda is running behind him to catch Krishna. So it says that in the scriptures, there are so many yogis, they are performing tapasya, but they could not get Krishna's attention, or they could not bind Krishna within their heart. Also it is so difficult. Whereas Mother Yasoda, who is a just ordinary household lady, she could catch Krishna. Why? Because of her devotion towards him, because of her love and affection for Krishna. And Krishna is bound by that love, and he allows himself to be tied by Mother Yasoda. It's a very beautiful, beautiful pastime. So when Mother Yasoda, when morning she wakes up, and then that day there is nobody in the house, even including Balaram and Mother Rohini, they also goes out on that day. So Krishna, when he wakes up, he sees Mother Yasoda churning butter. And nowadays we don't churn butter actually. We get from Walmart or Kroger. Of course, getting a milk also is a problem, pure cow milk. So when she was churning the butter, Krishna comes there, and then Mother Yasoda sees Krishna got up, and then immediately she takes him and then start feeding her breast milk to Krishna. So Nanda Maharaj is having a total 9 lakhs cows, 900,000 cows, out of which 108 cows are very, very precious, important cows known as Padmaganda cows. They have been fed with a special kind of grass, and that grass is given to them, so they give wonderful milk. And from that 108, 8 cows are more special. So milk coming from 100 cows is given to these 8 cows, and whatever that milk comes from that 8 cows, that is offered to Krishna as butter and then dye, everything, milk products. So that's one of the reason actually Hindus, they love cows so much, because Krishna loves cows so much. So when Mother Yashoda, she kept that milk for boiling, so that once the milk is boiled, then she can make a yogurt, and then from there buttermilk, and then she can churn the butter from that. So when she is feeding Krishna, then she found that milk is boiling, coming out of the pot. In the spiritual world, everything is the person. Everything means everything. This mridanga is a person, harmonium is a person. Unfortunately, there are no telephones there, so their phones were not there. Mobile phones or cell phones. So milk, when he saw that Krishna is drinking the Mother Yashoda's milk, and that milk on the pot, thought that, what is the use of me? Because if Krishna is going to drink Yashoda's milk, then he is not going to drink me. Let me commit suicide. So he's jumping into the fire, the milk. So that time when milk is coming out and it's going to be overflowing, Mother Yashoda keeps Krishna down and then goes to take out the milk, because that is a special milk. Comes from 8 cows or Madonna cows. And there Krishna gets angry. As a small child, wants attention. And Krishna was thinking, he is thinking, that milk is become more important than me. How is that possible? I don't want to come to this kind of situation. He gets angry, and then he breaks the pot where Mother Yashoda is churning the butter. And then the small baby, so you don't know, that time he started walking actually, Krishna. He's crawling and then he started walking. He walks within that buttermilk, and then he goes into the storeroom where Mother Yashoda kept butter in a different pots. Why? Because Krishna is going to the other houses and stealing the butter. And she don't want, there's complaints from other gopis. So she don't want Krishna to be, become a thief, especially Makan Chor. So that's why she made so much butter, so that Krishna can eat here, not to go out and then steal the butter from other houses. So the Krishna goes into the storeroom, and then he breaks open the pots, and then he starts eating the butter. Not only he is eating alone, and there are monkeys, so he started feeding those monkeys also. And there are the birds also, he started feeding the birds. Krishna. And then at some point of time, monkeys stop eating because they saw some of food. And Krishna is taking this butter, useless butter. This is what is the use? Even monkeys also not eating this butter. So that's the time the Mother Yashoda, she comes. She starts searching for Krishna. She didn't find Krishna there, and then she could find his footprints, because he walked through the buttermilk. His footprints are there. So she comes to see. He is in the storeroom. He broken all the pots, and then he's eating butter and he's feeding monkeys also. Krishna is actually facing backside. Door is this side, Krishna is facing this side. And there is a window, monkeys is feeding the monkeys. When the monkey saw Mother Yashoda is coming with the stick, monkey's eyes become big. Krishna could understand something wrong is there. Then he turned back and see Mother Yashoda standing in the stick. Then swiftly he starts running away from that place. So now we are going to sing Damodar Ashtakam. He talks about the Krishna's beauty. And then he talks about Krishna's being the master, Namami Ishvara. Actually, it says that this pastime has happened during the month of, in this month, during the day of Diwali. On the same day this pastime happens. And this poet is also writing this poem, and then he asks benedictions from Krishna also. So that way he is showing us, on the Diwali day, whom should we worship and what should we ask. This he even speaks about that thing, that third stanza. He talks about fourth one, Varam Deva Moksham Govinda. So he explains about Krishna's beauty. He says Lasat Kundalam, Krishna's earrings, they are swinging back and forth. And of course, the Acharya, they give explanation why the poet is looking at the Krishna's earrings. Why not? Normally, when we see person, we see face. We don't see the earring, what earring this person is wearing. But then why this poet is showing this thing? He talks about because Krishna he started moving at that time. He started crawling, he started walking. Because of that, his earrings also swinging back and forth. And then he talks about Krishna's beauty. He says Krishna is just looking like a blue lotus flower. He says. So we must have seen white lotus flower, we must have seen red lotus flower, but there is a blue lotus flower also. And Krishna's face is looking like that. And then even he talks about his lips, they are reddish like a bimba fruit. He talks about. Like he is comparing Krishna's beauty. And he even talks about how Mother Yasoda is keep kissing Krishna's cheeks again and again and again. Because of that, his cheeks they become pinkish in color. So he talks about this Krishna's beauty so much in this. So that is one of the Krishna's opulence, his beauty. Nobody can compare with Krishna's beauty. So that in that pastime, in these verses, he talks about that thing. And then in this pastime, then when Mother Yashoda started chasing Krishna, and Krishna is running, she is trying to chase. He is a small boy; he can run very quickly and swiftly, and she is kind of a grown-up lady. She is finding it heavy to run behind Krishna, but still, somehow she could able to catch Krishna. Why she could able to catch Krishna? Because Krishna allowed her to catch him because of her love towards him. And then she ties Krishna to the wooden grinding mortar. When she is tying it, she used the ropes within her home, and those ropes are not sufficient because when it comes to tying the knot, it is becoming short. Then she got the ropes from entire Vraj, full Vrindavan. Still the ropes are, even though she is making a knot and then again trying to make a knot for tying Krishna, it is not again coming. It's always 2 fingers gap in that. So Acharya gives explanation why that she is unable to tie Krishna, why there is 2 fingers gap. These 2 fingers shows that one finger is our endeavor in worshipping Krishna or in doing bhakti. And the second finger signifies his Lord's mercy on us. Mother Yasoda is putting effort, and Krishna is not giving a glance, still he is not giving mercy to them. So that's the time when Srimati Radharani enters. And then Radharani gives her hairband. So with that hairband, Mother Yasoda would tie Krishna. After she tying Krishna, and then she again goes back to her regular work. And Krishna seeing there are 2 trees. These trees are known as Yamalarjuna trees. And they are very strong trees. And Krishna goes through between these 2 trees. And those 2 trees falls down. And from there comes the very beautiful celestial personalities. Again, this is wonderful. Why this? How come these 2 personalities are staying as the trees? So, in the previous yuga, or we don't know when that was happening, Kubera's sons, they are because of their father is, we can see this thing material. When the father is a wealthy man, so many Bollywood movies are also there. And sons becomes very proud, and they try to misuse the power of their father. So the same way these 2 boys, sons of Kubera, they are misusing their father powers, and they are not paying attention to the saintly persons, especially to Narada Muni. And that time Narada Muni, because they are not paying attention and they are not paying proper etiquettes to saintly persons, and then he curses them to become as the trees. I mean, in fact, if you talk more clean about that, more detail, so they were taking a bath in Mandakini river along with their girlfriends, naked. So when Narada Muni is passing by, when they saw Narada Muni, the girls, they are out of shy, they covered their body, but these boys were standing like that without covering their body. So that time Narada Muni, he gives them a curse that you will become a tree. And that's why it says that scriptures, if anybody they would like to show their body, and in the next birth they are going to become as trees, because trees are, they need not to wear any clothes as such. they are in the bare body. All the time they can be like that. Whatever their desires are there, that will be fulfilled in their next birth. The scriptures talks about those many things. Like if you are anybody is eating meat more and more, and then providence gives them the position, facility where they can eat meat directly instead of bringing it home and cooking, putting masalas to that. They can eat directly like a lion or a tiger. So they get that kind of. So like these scriptures talk about many things. So then Narada Muni, he gave them the curse, and Krishna, remembering that curse, how his devotee is given a curse, and then he gives them how to come out of that curse also. He tells them, when Krishna, the Supreme Lord, takes birth in the Nanda Maharaj courtyard, and that time he is going to liberate both of you. So in this verse, in this 8 verses also, he talks about that, how Krishna liberated these two personalities. He gave them the moksha. He didn't give the moksha directly, he gave them the prema and bhakti. So that's what the poet is aspiring for that. Please give me prema and bhakti, so that I can worship you, and then I can play, I can see this pastime which you are performing in Goloka. So that's the reason in this month actually we do worship Krishna with the key lamps, and remember this pastime again and again and again and again, so that we purify our consciousness and we will become, at least one day, we will become a devotee. So this month, whatever we do, any pious activity, that will give us the multiple 1,000 times benefits. Even if you chant Maha Mantra one time, it's equal to chanting 1,000 times, especially in this, during this month, Damodar month. And it's according to Padma Purana, one should offer a ghee lamp during this month to Krishna, especially to the Mother Yasoda, where she is binding Krishna to that pose when we give this ghee lamp offering, and that will give us immense benefits, and that will take us at least a little bit baby steps in our spirituality. Why we have to take spirituality? That's what we discussed. We can go back to the spiritual world. That is actually our home. This is not our home. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Is you have to put more, you have to do Astakam with this or after Astakam?
After Astakam.
So,
that's good enough.
Good enough.